This is the Open Source Entrepreneur Network podcast with me, your host, John Mark Walker. Today we're here to talk about the OpenEBS project. It's an open source project to create a containerized storage system. We'll talk about the company that makes that project, Cloudbyte, and to help guide us through this conversation will be Kiran, Mova, and Mukkara. They'll talk about how they went down the open source product path and the very new 0.3 release that they're very excited about. This newest release takes OpenEBS further down the path of container orchestration in Kubernetes.
Great, John. Thank you very much for this opportunity to reintroduce myself. This is Mukkara. I'm co-founder of Cloudbyte and also the acting CEO. Yes, it's great to be here.
Kiran? Hey, John. Great to be here and nice talking to you again. Though I'm in the capacity of VP of Engineering and I've been with Cloudbyte for 5 years now, I actually prefer calling myself as an open source hacker or an open source evangelist.
All right.
That's my passion.
Excellent. That makes me very happy actually to hear that. There aren't too many people who go by that anymore. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm glad you guys were able to take some time out of your day to come by and talk more about some events you have coming up, some recent news that you want to talk about, and then we're going to dive into, what kind of company that you want to run, what kind of product, and what value you offer to your customers. So I think you guys have some slides kicked off, ready to go. So why don't you take that away, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Sure. Hi, this is Kumar again. So what is OpenEBS as a word of mouth? To say it's containerized storage for containers, just like Calico Flannel is defining the networking space for Kubernetes. OpenEBS wants to own that space for storage, right? Ceph is probably the most popular open source storage project right now, but we believe that we will be the purpose-built storage solution for containerized storage, right? And you can also say that, just like you're going to run Kubernetes, I'll be running OpenEBS. That will be as easy as running Kubernetes. And in the end, what we want to achieve with OpenEBS is, if you're a storage operator or a DevOps developer, you want to get the storage part of the operations off your back, right? That's the real essence of OpenEBS. And really, what is OpenEBS is we really want to solve the persistent storage problem for stateful applications in the container space. Typically, as you see, the storage has been attached as a legacy storage to application pods running in containers. But that's not the approach that we're taking with OpenEBS. What we will be doing with OpenEBS is to containerize the volumes and move them up into the application pods, so that the volumes and the containers, they all stay together. And when you move an application pod, the storage volume also moves. So in other words, we will be solving the problem of persistent storage. That's catching quite an imagination in the few quarters, I would say, right? So it's not the connectivity alone that OpenEBS is trying to solve. Kubernetes, fortunately, is bringing the right architecture for connecting the storage, the persistent storage to the containers. But we will also be considering giving the right solution in terms of the enterprise availability and also the smart space management and latency management, QoS. All these enterprise features will now be available with open source project like OpenEBS, right? So in other words, Kubernetes, we all know, has solved the problem of orchestration for stateless application, right? If it's so simple with the Kubernetes that you put all your intent into the configuration YAML file, and then Kubernetes drives it into the rollout, right? So, but what about the stateful applications? It's not as easy as the stateless world today, right? The storage can be connected, but underlying storage is hardwired into various tiers, and you still need to do a handful of work to get things going with the stateful applications. So with OpenEBS, it's going to be a total different story. With OpenEBS, stateful applications and stateless applications will almost be similar for a DevOps user, right? You still express your intent for the stateful application storage, and OpenEBS does the rest of it, right? It's going to take the right policies and then going to schedule the volumes on the right storage, keep them available all the time, manage the latency expectations, and then do the backend storage operations itself. In other words, with the DevOps operation, OpenEBS is going to take all the storage burden off your back, right? With OpenEBS, they will see the storage administrators, saying it's pretty easy to roll the applications into the production. That's what we want to go to. And to quickly how we have built OpenEBS, and we're still early stage, but I would talk about how we have built this OpenEBS. As I said, it's a containerized storage, and containerization of storage is done using Docker. And we are going to deeply integrate the orchestration into Kubernetes. Whatever Kubernetes can do, we will make complete use of it. And there are some things that Kubernetes may not be doing right now for the underlying storage platform that we'll be fulfilling using OpenEBS Maya. The capabilities of Maya will include smart capacity management underneath, latency management, and then it will be exposing AWS EDS like APIs and deep storage analytics, etc., is going to be provided by OpenEBS Maya. And of course, there is storage underneath. The core storage is OpenEBS. It will be providing the containerized storage, but a lot of enterprise features such as high availability, smart storage, QoS, and they will have the volume expansion across multiple nodes. And then this hot data, cold data tiering for higher performance will always be there. That's a bit about OpenEBS, and probably Kiran can talk a little bit more about how we have done in terms of the OpenEBS build-up by showing a demo to you.
So just one quick question. So if I understand correctly, the OpenEBS is both a control plane as well as a storage platform itself. So you're in both the control and the data plane. Is that right?
That's right, John.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood. Thanks.
Yes, the control plane is provided in a combination of integration into Kubernetes and Maya. And the data plane and the core storage platform is provided by OpenEBS itself.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right. This is how the OpenEBS roadmap looks like for 2017. We have a great vision for 2018 onwards and also 2019. But to quickly cover what we will be doing this year, we are at mid-year today, and we are releasing 0.3, which has full hyper-converged integration with Kubernetes. This will be the release using which you can go ahead and deploy the hyper-converged storage for deployments that are being orchestrated by Kubernetes. And we will be working towards adding more core storage features in the 0.4 version. That will include, adding cache and tiering and some amount of QoS in the upcoming release. And for the 1.0 release that will come out in 2017, you'll probably have the first version of open sourced enterprise storage that will take care of most of the storage needs for the DevOps operator. And we are also working towards getting more of machine learning intelligence into storage. That probably will be covered in 1.0 also. That's a quick glimpse into the roadmap of OpenEBS. Of course, building storage always is going to take time, which needs testing. And fortunately, we got that experience in the last 5 years building enterprise storages, and we'll be putting all that expertise into building OpenEBS going forward.
Great. When you say you're looking to integrate machine learning, to what end? Like what are our customers going to get from that?
Right. So the customers are not going to be bothered about what would be the amount of resources I need on a storage controller if I have to get a certain latency for my volumes. Right. That seems to be the most complex piece. When you increase your expectations on performance, what all changes I would need to be doing, right? Through our machine learning engines, we will be predicting the application workloads for given volumes, and we'll be adjusting the resources automatically. So the guaranteed QoS delivery will be delivered using this machine learning technology.
So you guys started Cloudbyte a few years ago, and this is kind of a recent transformation. There we go. Thank you. And I was wondering, what led you to this transformation? How did you kind of come upon this kind of solution, and where did you start from 5 years ago? I'd like to hear a lot about your evolution over the years and how you've been working with customers and how that informed this decision.
Sure.
Either you can answer that.
Great. Yes, that's a very good question, a very appropriate one, John. So when we started Cloudbyte, we wanted to build storage that can give the quality of service to the service providers, and we actually containerized the storage as a solution to that problem of giving a QoS demonstrated storage. The product has been doing very well, but what we learned from the market in the last few years is the industry is moving towards expecting open source solutions. Right, most of the CIOs that we talk to and the big architects, they have shown a penchant for open source solutions. Our previous solution was definitely not open source. It's a closed commercial project based on FreeBSD. So I think that shift that we observed quite a lot, and another one is people expect developer-friendly infrastructure, right? The DevOps ecosystem has been going through a lot of churn, and the DevOps shift and the open source shift led us to believe that we need to recreate the right storage in open source, and that's what OpenEBS is.
Okay, so you had a solution, it worked reasonably well, it served your customers, but along the way you said, you know what, there's a better angle here, and we're going to pursue that.
That's right.
Excellent. And how is the interaction with users and the developer community so far?
So if I had to just summarize in one word, it's been a great learning experience, and it's also been great. In the past 6 months that we have come out openly with the 0.1 release, we have had a lot of traction from different types of users from different domains, some big enterprises and also some very niche market, especially people who are trying to come up with some new services on the container ecosystem. They would come to us and say, you know what, this is the storage solution that we have been missing. So clearly there was a need for a container native storage that was required, and I think we are this really well. Right. So we have been able to attract both users as well as great developers and committers. In fact, today uh, I had a chance to chat with one of the guys who's working on a Golang-based GoTGT, who is interested in learning how he can collaborate with OpenEBS and how he can continue to contribute towards the milestones of OpenEBS.
Great. That's you really that is the kind of interaction you want to get and that you want to achieve. So it kind of confirms that you're on the right track when you get that kind of interaction going. When you look at kind of the business model that you guys are going to pursue, inevitably whenever a startup is open source based, the question that comes up from investors as well as the public at large is, how are you going to make money on this? You're giving away all this stuff for free. So what's your business model look like?
Yeah, we're not going to be any different compared to the other successful open source business models. First off, we want to build the right infrastructure solution in the storage world. And when everything works right, and it definitely needs to be supported by the guys, who are behind the project. So we would expect to make some monetary gains through the support of the product. So we will definitely have an enterprise edition of OpenEBS shortly after 1.0 or along with 1.0. And one another model that we are trying to introduce with 1.0 is probably to the machine learning analytics, right? So our infrastructure for machine learning will still be open, but the way the predictions happen and the reactions based on the predictions will be done only in the enterprise edition. That is one way we are thinking, but it will still evolve, John.
Certainly. So what I'm hearing is that you're going to have the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just to add to what Uma said about the ML service, we are very careful about trying to keep this solution free. So even when we develop this ML service for analytics, it with an standard service or like a vendor agnostic one. So people should be able to develop their own analytics and interface with the infrastructure that we put in the open source.
Great. So what I'm hearing is that you're going to have the core infrastructure is free, free software and will always be free, but you're going to develop either some type of enterprise version or some type of content or policy framework that sits on top of the the core infrastructure pieces that you open source.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's a tried and true model, and I wholly support that. Excellent. So, is this your first real open source project for both of you?
That's correct, John.
Was it a scary experience to go down this path?
Not really. The ecosystem around open source has been developed a lot. There's plenty of material available. And we've been guided through Evan Powell right from the beginning of OpenEBS project. He's one of the co-founders of this project. So he has built Nexenta and Stackstorm projects in open source.
Yes.
So we are very happy to be guided by experts like that. So yeah, it's a scary experience in the beginning, and our journey has been excellent so far, and we've been receiving great support from the community.
Well, here's hoping that you see even more support going forward, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I'll definitely be paying attention to what you're doing. It looks like a pretty exciting project. Thank you so much for taking your time to come by the Open Source Entrepreneur Network. I look forward to maybe having a follow-up later to see how things are going.
Great.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Excellent.